That's not imitatable behavior, though.
A giant pumpkin?
Yeah, shooting a pumpkin at somebody, I guess, is not considered imitatable behavior.
Well, they're ghosts, see.
Apparently the idea of loading a pumpkin is just beyond the ken of most children.
Frankly, I don't know how we got that one past them, but we did, actually.
Now, have you heard from the fans in the time since about how they feel about the Junior Ghostbusters?
No.
That's correct, which is why...
Well, I've heard they hate him. Is it like it's like Voltron?
Well, there are some that do, and some that I would imagine probably don't hate them. But the question is kind of, did it reach its intended audience? Did people who were kids when this happened like them?
The kids that I talked to didn't have any problem with them either way.
But they still related to the Ghostbusters themselves,
right.
Not to the kids.
Right.
Yes, always Venkman, Ray, and Egon, always, and Slimer.
Right.
But mainly the three main ones. Mm-hmm. That's what they liked.
There's Janine, by the way, in her softer redesign.
Oh, I know.
Now, this was important in this episode. I'll tell you why. Janine in this episode, for the first time, was allowed to be heroic.
Well,
near the end of the show, you'll see her do something heroic. She'll actually work with the Ghostbusters to do something.
They were really stressing for her to be very, very feminist rather than a caricature of like a Brooklyn secretary.
Right.
They wanted to go farther.
But we'd always been restricted in the past that she would just simply be manning the desk, or she'd simply, help the Ghostbusters out at the Ghostbusters headquarters. But this was one of the first times we got her out of the headquarters, but it is the first time she was actually allowed to participate in actually catching a ghost on the network.
If you notice, one of the Junior Ghostbusters was a strong little girl. They were really into strong women characters at this time because so much action-adventure had been dominated, male-dominated. The women executives at the network wanted to bring up more positive female characters, and they got very hardline with very politically correct.
Positive female characters, pro-social values, diversity among the new cast members, and so forth.
That all came in at this time in the late 80s.
Do you think that was mainly due to the action for children's television, or was that just due to the political climate at the time, or
both?
All of it.
Both.
We're discussing this as demons are flying down a hallway.
Of course.
You would have a hard time with the demons today.
Really?
With that. Well, this was when the moral majority was ramping up, 1987, 88.
Yeah,
that election year.
At the same time, while you're seeing all this, we were never allowed to refer to ghosts as being dead people.
No.
They were simply ghosts.
Yeah, we always said, what if Slimer came back to life? What would he look like?
Right.
We actually pitched one like that once.
Every year that we worked on the Ghostbusters, we pitched the idea that Slimer becomes a human man.
And what is he?
Exactly. Well, we came... Oh, do you want to know what we actually came up with? Oh, he was the schlubby little New York guy.
With wingtip shoes.
With wingtip shoes. Suit. His suit didn't fit quite right. He was only about 4'11".
We told Len and Chuck that. Chuck almost fell out of his seat. He was laughing. He goes, "Yeah, you're right. That's it."
Yeah, and
who ate a lot.
Who ate a lot. Yeah, so he was kind of overweight. What we wanted to do was, which of course we didn't get to do, was to prove that Slimer had a much better life as a ghost than he did as a human being.
And they said, well, we're going to talk about death then.
Yeah, and that was the sticking point. We'd have to talk about Slimer having been a dead person.
Right.
Then let's move.
And, forget the idea that at that time Casper the Friendly Ghost was like 30 years old, and that was a dead kid.
Yeah.
So
Casper the dead baby.
Casper the dead kid.
Slimer was so much cooler, though.
Yeah.
Well,
I think.
You had established you couldn't have man-made things going, but Slimer's wearing or has eaten a hidden camera.
They stuck a camera. They put a camera in Slimer's mouth so Slimer could go through with the camera.
Okay.
Because the camera was completely covered in ghost.
Ah, all right.
The ectoplasm.
Yeah, so he could get it through the wall. Now, we had to destroy this building, so you had to get rid of some of Samhain's power inside. That's one of the reasons Slimer's in there, to distract other ghosts. And see, now here, Janine is actually going to be the one that pushes the ultimate button on this.
Yes.
With the Ghostbusters.
and she's hidden in Ecto 1. So Samhain thinks that he's gotten all the Ghostbusters to give up, but actually Janine is still in the car.
Right.
He's not aware of that.
But Sam Hain actually also recognizes him at that point. You're with the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, oh, he knows that Slimer is a Ghostbusters ghost. And that's one of the reasons Slimer had to sneak in. If he could just blend in with the ghost, that would have been easy. But Samhain already knew of Slimer from Joe's script before. So he would know that Slimer was with the Ghostbusters and that he was a spy. But now what he's done is Slimer has been able to bring a lot of these ghosts outside of the structure so they can blast those ghosts. The fewer ghosts that Samhain has, the less his power is. So now they're cutting down on his power and they're taking it bit by bit. And they're also firing on the keystone of the building. This is where the geometry comes in to change the shape of the building. And the final thing everybody has to remember is Samhain cannot tolerate light.
So there's the escape of the Junior Ghostbusters.
Exactly.
Oh, yes.
And that is Slimer's main job, was to save the kids.
Yes.
You want to slime us? Why?
This was the kid's story.
And here's what he's going to do. Now,
I know. So we can pass it
here's where
along
Slimer's
to
slime
the
comes in
ghost.
handy. Right.
Right.
Cover the kids in slime so they can go through the supernatural walls. Which I actually
How
believe...
much fun would that be? That's great for kids. They
That-
could get slime.
That was actually later taken by Nickelodeon in order to create their network.
I was going to say, boy, he just created the Nickelodeon network there.
Exactly.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that's Slimer creates Nickelodeon. Right here.
Nickelodeon was very rough at
Now,
this
this is a big mistake. I always thought it was a big mistake for Samhain to confront them directly without the ghost and without the structure. Because Janine just has to turn on the light.
Yep.
So we really wanted to end it with the building collapsing and sucking everything in and not distracting with the lights. But they felt there had to be the step where the Ghostbusters had to defeat him. That had to be their defeat of him. And you see all the geometry that's coming out now and disappearing, and then the Ghostbusters headquarters comes back.
So he's now imprisoned and defeated, but kind of
Anything, Peter.
underneath.
He's back in the ecto containment.
He's in the ecto containment unit underneath the Ghostbusters.
Which we never explained how that came back.
It's magic.
But it's back.
It's the magic of Halloween.
That's right.
You were saying?
And of course we end with a party because that's what everybody wants to do after they defeated a demon.
Always end with a party.
Goodness for
Punch and
that.
cookies for everyone, the world is saved, and we're not going to purgatory.
Hey, where's my Halloween?
Yeah.
And then they slowly move in.
So this episode had really some nice visuals and
It did.
so forth. It was
Artistically,
well animated.
It was beautiful.
Animation-wise and artistically, this was probably the best.
Yes.
I mean, really.
Writing-wise, this was one of the most conservative.
Yeah,
Of your
But-
episodes.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, definitely.
absolutely.
And that was just because of the kid characters.
Yes. And the curriculum.
Dave Coulier, who later went on to Full House,
Is that right?
one of our voice actors.
Well, thank you both for being with us here on this commentary track. It's been
Well, thank you very
entertaining
much.
and
Thank
fun.
Memory
Our
lane.
pleasure.